Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 7th edition of March to the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile. Alongside Chris Katulak, I'm Gary Seibel. And over the next half hour, we will take an in-depth look at the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile, the mile division in the 2009 Breeders' Cup World Championships.
Gary, we've been creeping up on this event. Obviously, the Breeders' Cup Mile itself is 3 weeks away. But this past weekend, some significant races run that are stepping stones to the race. One for 3-year-olds at 1 1/8 miles, but a couple of races that were smack dab at that 1 mile distance.
Some have fallen by the wayside, and others have stepped up their games. Here's a look at what's coming up. The TVG Mile Division recap. Some big and telling races this weekend. New York Report with Steve Haskin, the senior correspondent for the Blood Horse. The Kentucky Report with Michelle Yu, European News, and again, the Week 7 March to the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile Poll. So with that in mind, time for us to get rolling. And over the weekend in New York, the Jamaica Handicap kicked things off for us on the show today.
Well, this was the race that was restricted to 3-year-olds and at the 1 1/8 distance, Gary. And a couple of horses going into the race with some very good form. Courageous Cat would go off as the 4-5 favorite and take the points. Deserved all the consideration that he would get. He would go off as your second choice at 5-2.
1 1/8 over firm inner turf at Belmont from Saturday, the 60th running of the Grade 1 Jamaica Handicap for 3-year-olds. Courageous Cat off at 4-5 under Ramon Dominguez for Hall of Famer Bill Mott. Let's go back in time and get the call of the Jamaica Handicap.
And they're off. Straight Story racing for the lead. Courageous Cat off to a good start. Mr. Sandman is there on the outside, and it's Courageous Cat who will be the early leader here. Courageous Cat is the leader. Mr. Sandman second on the outside. Straight Story a headstrong third. Take the Points is a little rank there. Well, he's quite rank, in fact. Well, in between horses, and there goes Chapin Beach with a rush. Chapin Beach with a rush after Courageous Cat on the lead. So they make that turn into the backstretch. And now they face a pretty strong headwind here. Courageous Cat up on the lead with Chapin Beach. 2.5 lengths back. On the inside, Straight Story. On the outside, Take the Points is up and on the pace today. And the opening quarter goes at 24 4/5 seconds. Farther back in the field, Mr. Sandman is back there running in 5th. Grassy is unhurried. 6th, about 7 lengths from front-running Chapin Beach, and Boots Ahead is the trailer. Down the backstretch run after a 48-3 into the wind half-mile here, and Chapin Beach leads the way. Take the Points is moving at the half-mile pole. He's right alongside Courageous Cat. Justin behind them. Straight Story runs in 4th. Mr. Sandman, Grassy, and Boots Ahead. Chapin Beach the leader with 3 furlongs to go. Take the Points second and pressing for the lead. Straight Story racing up 3 wide, and Courageous Cat odds on and favored in behind the lead and 4th as the field turns for home. Take the Points on top. Straight Story is second. Courageous Cat is third. He's dropped a length and a half behind. 1 furlong to go. Take the Points digs down. Straight Story attacks with a less than 1/8 of a mile to run. Courageous Cat is third. Grassy is 4th. Take the Points, Straight Story. Take the Points, Straight Story. It's going to be very close between those two at the wire. Take the Points wins.
A gutty and determined effort by Take the Points, a 3-year-old colt by Even the Score, who evened the score here with Straight Story, the 4th win, Chris, in 11 lifetime starts for that colt. Edgar Prado for Todd Pletcher coming in off a layoff, and the most recent start, a victory in the Grade 1 Secretariat at 1.25 miles over the turf at Arlington.
You're right, Gary. His last couple of races have been at a longer distance in the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile, that being the mile distance. They have been at 1.25 miles, but I like the way this horse can lay and be involved, and you saw a terrific effort there. Courageous Cat, a peculiar trip from him, that Jamaica Handicap last time out, and we know that has been a pretty decent little race where Court Vision, who won the Jamaica, well, he didn't make it to the Breeders' Cup races last year, but I understand we'll probably see him coming up in the Breeders' Cup this year.
All right, under the category of the best laid plans of mice and men, we were hoping to have Steve Haskin through the Skype process, but instead we're going to have him on the phone because that didn't work out as we had hoped. In the meantime, Steve Haskin, senior correspondent for the Blood Horse, welcome to the March to the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile.
Very nice to be there, guys. I was all set to say visual greetings from the Garden State, but I guess it'll have to be audio greetings from the Garden State.
That'll work perfectly for us, Steve, particularly because it's really your knowledge that we want to hear, and we'll do that just perfectly over the phone. Now, first, let's get your thought on the race that we just watched on the show, the Jamaica Handicap. What did you think of Take the Points, and is there anybody from that race that you think that might head on to the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile?
Well, if anybody comes, it's going to probably be Courageous Cat, who's the 3-5 favorite in there, who had this sort of a very unusual trip. Take the Points, who's turning into a very, very good horse, but he's not really a miler. He's more of a 1.25 mile horse. So the plan right now is to run him in the Hollywood Derby. I mean, they could change their mind, but that's the way they're leaning right now. The Courageous Cat was a big disappointment. He got a very strange ride in there. I mean, they went to the front with him, and the real speed horse in the race took over. He got shuffled back, lost his position. They had to angle out, and he came on again at the end, and he was only beaten 3/4 of a length in third. So it wasn't a bad effort. Whether it was good enough to win a race like the Breeders' Cup Mile, I would doubt it. But he's owned by Pam and Marty Wygod, who like to see their horses in these big races. So, you know, there is still an outside possibility he could show up, but he really needed to step up in this race to really be a factor.
Well, as a matter of fact, he does not appear in your top 10 mile contenders, and that's what we want to talk about right now, Steve. You have ranked the top 10 according to your thoughts of what you have seen so far this year for the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile. We're going to show that to the viewers at home. And tell us, Goldakova, the European sensation, is #1 on your list. There are a couple of other horses that have also shown promise of late. Give us your thoughts, your lowdown, if you will, on your top 10 list and how strongly you feel about that ranking.